Are you maxing out every session?
You could be hindering your gains. Hey guys, welcome back, and probably our final episode of Fitness Trends for 2026. We see it every day in gyms, all the time. We speak to a lot of youngsters and they're all at fault for this, and that is maxing out every session. And that is why it could possibly kill your gains to max out every session.
So maxing out every session sounds fantastic when you are, in your teenage years, in your early 20s, and you want to be the main man, and there's nothing better than going to the gym and busting out a bunch of 1 reps at the absolute max that you can. And look, obviously can adaptations and stuff occur at that? 100%. Will you get stronger from maxing out? Yes. Is it the best method to use? No. Reason being is, at max level work, 100% enough stimulus to create adaptation. The downside is the fatigue of it. So you kind of have to look at return of investment. How much fatigue is being generated by the work that you're doing, and are you able to recover from that in time for a following session to be as effective as it could be? And as well as, can you work at that rate and accumulate sufficient volume that in the long run it becomes well? So 1 reps, it's always a great feeling to do it. What you'll generally find, even if you look at powerlifting community, more often than not, most powerlifters aren't doing a lot of 1 rep work, especially at max, until comp day.
Yep.
Comp day is the day you find out, did all your hard work bear some fruit? What we'll generally find, especially within the strength realm, most of the time between 4 and 6 reps is where it's best served. Between your 80 and 95% of 1 rep max. 95% also not touching all too often, because yes, we want the intensity to be high. Particularly volume is a better use for, let's say, hypertrophy. But even if you're wanting strength, you need more total pounds moved throughout the week, which means accumulating volume under heavy load. So if you're doing 1 rep, how many sets can you effectively do at 1 rep before you're tapped out? Versus if you're working 4 to 6 reps, you're going to be able to accumulate a lot more volume. The total weight you're moving throughout the week is a lot more. We're going to get some really good adaptation from there, as well as giving yourself room to move up in weight throughout your program and throughout your block. Percentages can increase over time throughout your block. And well, if you're starting at 100%, where do you go from there? We'll start to try get a good amount of volume and a large amount of volume at that absolute upper limit. Again, the downside being the amount of fatigue. So there's going to be a point where you're feeling okay, and then not feeling okay, because you've just accumulated so much fatigue that you're not able to recover from that. Well, the paw hits the fan.
A lot of youngsters, they will come up to me and be like, oh my word, my bench hasn't moved from 100 kilos in 6 months. And I'll be like, cool, what are you doing? And they are literally trying to do 100 kilos every bench session. And then you tell them, like, listen, I think maybe drop down to 80 kilos and do a couple of reps and a couple of sets on 80 and you'll get results. And do they listen? No. Then fast forward a couple of months later, and then they're going back for the same and wanting the same advice. How do I get a stronger bench, or how do I get a stronger squat? It's the same as riding a car. If you want a car to last long, you're not going to keep it at maximum speed the whole time. You're going to keep it at a lower speed. More reps and sets over time will get you better results than doing 1 set of a failed 1 rep max.
100%. Reaching failure is an important part within the training principles, but it just can't be sustained all the time, and especially at the 1 rep point. Look at it like, but what about maxing out in different rep ranges? It doesn't always have to be about
1 rep max.
The 1 rep max. And essentially you also have to ask your question, how important is your 1 rep max to you? If it really is important to you, is it not then worth doing the work required to get your 1 rep max higher, versus continuously failing to just put that other little 2.5 to 5 kilograms on there. If you just get down and do the work, so you have to ask, is it more important that you actually hit the number, or is it more important that people see you hitting the number? That, as a guy, when you're young, it's so important that your peers around you see how strong you are. It's just one of those parts of developing socially that, kind of moving a good amount of weight, puts you at a certain point in a social hierarchy. So I can always understand the pressure, and young men and egos, it's always a problem. And so I think, again, when you're young, tends to not be too much of an issue because your training years are quite minimal. So the amount of time that you've been working at that limit, not that long, you're not seeing the drawbacks. Give it 5-10 years, you're hands down going to see the drawbacks. I was one of those individuals. I mean, even regardless of being at university studying what I was studying, I deemed myself the special one that didn't require to train in a methodical way. I could just go out and bust out 200 kilograms on a deadlift every second day, trying to chase a better number. And for 4 or 5 years wasn't a problem. And then, man, I hit such an unbelievable wall when it came to injuries, and a big portion of that was because I wasn't managing my training correctly, and because I wasn't managing my training correctly, I wasn't managing my recovery correctly, and then it just led to like a really hard teetering point. Whereas if I look at guys I coach now, I mean, the kind of progress, and even myself, the amount of progress I get with the training I do now relative to the amount of progress I got back then, massive difference. And that's just, again, being smart about your training. It's all good and well to feed your ego, but you have to ask yourself about how important it really is, and be honest whether or not you're willing to do the actual work required for it to be better, or if you just want to keep looking like you lift heavy weight.
So I think I have 2 points to make. One, a lot of youngsters want bigger arms. You never ever see them 1 rep maxing bicep curls. They do reps on bicep curls because they want bigger arms. So how can we have the one approach of doing reps for arms, for example, and then 1 rep maxing for bench press or squat? You got to look at what you want. Like Ron says, you got to look what is important to you. Is it being strong in that particular movement to get one absolute amazing rep, or is it being overall strong and having the aesthetic look that you desire? And the other point I wanted to make was, if you build a great foundation, and I'm going to use myself as an example, a great foundation where you've put in the work over a period of time, you don't necessarily lose the strength. I can go off season, not compete, and still bust out 8 to 10 reps on a 100 kilo bench, whether I've trained hard or not. It's a baseline for me right now. But if I had to be maxing out now while I'm off season, I'd actually deteriorate because my joints, my ligaments, my tendons would not be able to keep up with the work. So sometimes taking a step back, doing a couple of more reps and sets will actually give you a better foundation to be able to push the 1 rep max.
100.
And yeah.
Go to begin.
Cheers.